To the Made in Moscow session. My name is Kirill Tokarev. As you have already guessed, I have the pleasure to be the moderator of the session. I will skip the introductory remarks. Unfortunately, we don't have that much time available. We're going to run this session in a pitch fashion, 5 minutes for your presentation plus 2 minutes for a Q&A. Let's get started right away, but before we do, I would like to introduce all of our speakers. Sergey Uryadov, a co-founder of the Avilex company. Here is Sergey. Andrei Krulov, an operational director of Scan2Buy. Oleg, are you here? Technical director of NTech Lab, Andrei Ferman. Great. We had last-minute change. Viktor Mitunin, director for marketing and data of Amber Data, the CEO and co-founder of Ubik, Vitaly Satarov. Thank you. Great. And head of the Department of Health and Medicine Solutions of Lanit, Mikhail Slutsky. Mikhail is joining us shortly. Questions will be asked by our experts. Distinguished experts include Philip Boutelier, CEO, Tegel Project GmbH, the founder of the IoT Living Lab, Paul Manwaring, founder IoT Living Lab and co-founder City Innovation Exchange Lab. Tosha Obi, director Institute of E-Government, Waseda University. Alexei Katkov, managing partner Sistema LLC. You cannot see him. Hopefully he joins us. And deputy head for information technology of the Pushkin State Museum, Vladimir. John Young, the chairman and co-founder of Joint and Committee Forum, and the vice mayor and member for City Planning, Rob Andervelde. And we have one more speaker, Ashok Sisterman, head of the Center for Development of the E-Government for the Institute of Systemic Sciences of the National University of Singapore. Welcome to all of you. So the first to share with you what makes Russia and Moscow proud will be Sergey Uryadov, the co-founder of Avilex. Please meet the time limit, strictly 5 minutes. I'll do my best. We have a very large-scale project, so 5 minutes, of course, is not sufficient for a big project like that, but I'll try to make it quick. So I'm gonna speak fast. My name is Sergey Uryadov. I represent the Avilex company. I'm a co-founder. I would like to share with you the Moscow Electronics School. This is a joint project implemented by our partners in the Department for ICT and Department for Education of the City of Moscow. Of course, this project is a challenge, and I'll explain why. To us as ICT people, we realize that this project is on education, and we can see digital natives with inborn digital literacy, and we have the other so-called digital immigrants of 45 age or so. So our task within this electronic school project is to create a favorable environment for everyone, for both the younger generations and the educators. Let's me guide you through a model, a standard day of a Muscovite schoolboy or schoolgirl. I enter the school, there is a turnstile, I touch in with my card or bracelet. So this is a system to track the attendance of children. We have the electronic performance log, and Muscovites know that the system has been in practice for several years now. If the child gets lost or wants to visit a movie theater instead of going to school, the security protocol is then put into action. So during the intermission, I want to purchase some food. So I touch in with my card. This is my student's card. And the system says, unfortunately, you cannot buy a sausage. You can only get veggies. Why? Because the parents used their personal area on the Moscow city website to introduce food-related preferences. Let me guide you through the educational process. I'm the educator, so I have some time in the evening. I stay at home on my sofa, or I'm at school. I can access this electronic database system. I'm preparing the next classes I'm going to deliver this week. At present, this system covers over 800 digitalized e-books and course books. These classes are prepared by both the City Meta Center and my fellow colleagues, my fellow educators. I can access a huge library of interactive applications. I can access these libraries and I can tailor the contents for these classes. So I'm good to go. I show up in the class. I sign up to my system using the laptop or using a touch screen, and the content I have prepared opens up. You are running out of time. Please make it quick. I'm trying to. So we have 3 lines of content, a few information points on our content. We have this interactive whiteboard available in all schools of the city of Moscow. We have another content line within the laptop and in students' tablets. These can be either tests for individual work as well as additional content available in the form of VR content for biology classes. This is a running project. This all is available. At the same time, the educator decides on the marks to be assigned to the school children, and parents, even before visiting the school, can understand if their kid is doing well or not. This is a comprehensive system that covers the whole educational process, and we can keep track of the KPIs. We can see a tech-savvy educator who gladly adopts all the innovative solutions. And most importantly, we can see an engaged kid who is favored by the IT infrastructure. How does it all work? I mentioned the city systems. Great. 5 minutes have expired. Any questions? Please keep the floor for the Q&A. Yes, please. Distinguished experts, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. Please use the mic. Do the parents have access to school books, to the electronic school books the educator currently uses? If this manual of this school book is made available as a part of the course, yes, it will be accessible to the children. So if a kid is not attending school and has educators visiting the school boy or school girl, we're only in charge of the electronic systems. Regarding the content, you should ask the content developers. More questions, please use the mic. Thank you. A thrilling presentation. Please keep your mic closer. So it's all in the cloud. Yes, it's all in the cloud. How do you ensure security, and who is to be held liable should there be any leakage? Who is supposed to held accountable? I would like to reiterate that all data are stored in a controlled, restricted perimeter. When we use a safe internal network throughout the system, so there will be no personal data leakage in the public accessible networks. And if so happens, there is a system to ensure personal data protection across Russia. a developer, a real estate developer within their residential estate project, are they able to build a school to your design? Does it require a special design, or will a standard design work? This is a question for the Department of the ICT. When there is a new school to be built in Moscow, it is listed on the Moscow Electronic School portal. So the answer to your question is yes.
You did a great job in trying to put this together in 5 minutes, but all respect, you would have reserved much more, or deserved much more. Who is, just from a financial point of view, who is paying for this? Paying for the development, paying for the service, and what is your business model?
Okay, so I will answer you in English, if you don't mind. So the Moscow city government is paying for this project because this is a social project, and Moscow city government is financing it from the very beginning. So that is my answer.
Quick question. So how long have you deployed this project? How many schools?
Okay, so we have total to supply equipment in 1,500 schools, more than 5,000. Just for you to have an idea, we should supply 22,000 classrooms. We should equip 22,000 classrooms with the same infrastructure. So it's just huge amount. You can just imagine the numbers.
So when did you implement this? How long has this been implemented?
So the project implementation started last year, and just again for you to have an idea, we are implementing each month 160 school buildings.
Any lessons learned out of this implementation?
One more time, please.
Any lessons that you have learned
during this implementation? Okay, yeah, I got your. You know, you should be well prepared for this project, but the main idea for this project is that it should be centralized. If it is not centralized, it is not possible to do. I can imagine, because it's even not possible because all services should be in data center and all equipment should be the same. It should be not like a zoo, you know.
Standardized. Okay. One last one.
Well, last one.
You spoke about prohibiting food for the child, right?
Yeah.
You might want to think about using the data to analyze and nudge them.
That was at the very end of my presentation, right. Unfortunately, because I told the project is huge and I need more time to tell you about it. But yeah, we have a big data, and we are exporting to big data system huge numbers of everything, of content, of health, of food, and all this data is mapped with different systems. So yes, it is working in this way.
Спасибо, Сергей. Сергей, большое спасибо. Продолжаем.
Thank you, Sergey, very much. So we are continuing. Alexei Koretskov is one of our experts. You see, I'm too hot here and too hot here in Zaryadia. So I forgot to introduce one speaker. Is Oleg Chereshnev, is the director for foreign market relationships, marketing director of Contact Center Direction in Russia, and now Oleg Klepnikov's Corporation Director, Scan to Buy. So our previous speaker made it so good. So we all live in our amazing time. So please put my presentation on. So our time is really amazing when people switch from online to offline, from offline to online slant. So this speed of information process is being accelerated like by 100-folds, but somewhere we're too delayed to stopped, and we're tearing somewhere in gas stations, in catering service, in restaurants, in the grocery stores. Every solution should resolve some issue, right? Our program product, in the first place, it resolves the saving of our time. For us not to stand in the lines, let's think a bit. What do we need for that? So the message of our company is as following. So at first, we are standing in grocery stores, in the cash registers, in some industrial stores, wherever. So the main message of our product that the cash register is in your smartphone. You shouldn't register it. You shouldn't have some kind of a swipe in your in the cash register in the store. So you can have your prepaid groceries in your smartphone. How does it work? In 2 words. So if you enter the mall trade center, you are being identified, you scan the products, then you collect them in the app. So right away you will have the total amount which has to be paid with the consideration of all the discount cards which are connected to our system. And what's important that we will see the total amount to be paid. So it's rather convenient as to the user, right? And then we're coming by to the exit, and then we click the button to pay, and while leaving the grocery store, you are entering your QR code, or you're showing to the security guy, and then without any issues, you are leaving the place and going home. Very often, for example, your wife can send you to the store or your kid, and then you can even put the list of the groceries which has to be bought in the store, so automatically it will be crossed out those items which are already bought, and then you won't be confused. Why is it convenient? For us, for usual people, it's well, you will see constantly what has to be bought. You are not losing time in the lines. You are leaving the place right away. Why it's so good? For the trade chains. Reducing costs for the cashiers. It's the increase of the throughput ability of the chain, then increase of the loyalty level of the buyers, and then you don't need any expensive devices. Yeah, let's wait for this announcement to be done. Plus, for the stores, we are shaping special model of the consumption behavior. For example, if this bar is buying this milk or vodka of the special brand, and when the promotion starts in the grocery store exactly for this very product, the consumer will get special notification that there is a promotion for this very product. And then most probably you will go to that trade chain and you will purchase this very product, right? So your questions, please. Thank you very much. Yeah, you stick to the timeline. So a bit more than 2 minutes we have for the questions. Please go ahead. So how much our retailers are ready for this very product? Many retailers resolve those things in different ways. Some people, they put more fast equipment or different equipment. For example, in Ashan, at first you go through the cash register, they scan your receipt, and then you pay for this product in the special cash machine. And then we already installed a pilot project in Samara, and now we're preparing the pilot project in the large grocery food chains.
And sort of the scanning, the shopping list, the loyalty points, the promotions, that's all great. How do you deal with fraud? Because many companies like Amazon and Google are working on it, and the greatest point, the most critical point, is always fraud prevention.
Yes, we are adjusting. We're putting special anti-fraud system into our device and our system. And we have several algorithms of anti-fraud, and we will perfect it and improve it on the basis of accumulated experience. Yeah, there is an issue, but we're fighting it.
Basically, if you don't scan your product but put it into your bag.
С варьем ты чего делаешь?
Ну, давайте быть честными.
Well, let's be honest. Anyways, there is shoplifting now, and they steal money, they steal groceries, so everywhere they steal. Yeah, there will be some shoplifting, but again, we will improve our anti-fraud system. We'll work on it. And there is another message. The more ability we give to people to be self-managed, so then they become more honest.
Was any department store or anywhere. Also, what's the minimum customers to get the profit from your company?
Скажу больше.
Well, I will say more. You see, even industrial stores, they are customers of ours. For example, gas station. Do you fill your tank pretty often and you stand in the line at the gas station? Our system will allow you to fill your tank without leaving your car. Thank you very much. And the last question, please go ahead. We will go forward after that.
Any competitors?
Да, конкурент.
Yeah, there are some competitors, Western and Russian competitors. The idea, as I said, is already ripe, and there is a necessity to implement it. And there are some players which are ready to implement such solutions. Some are lagging behind, some are ahead of us. There is a product scan to go, but they use a lot of devices for that. But our advantage is like that. So we have our smartphones in our pocket, and we are saying that we have cash register in our smartphone. You don't need any additional devices. You come, you scan, and you go home. Thank you very much. So you were so brilliant as for your presentation. Thank you very much. So, Andrei Khrylev, I'm inviting you to this stage. Please tell us about what you do, what you have to boast of. Thank you, Kirill. Thank you very much, colleagues. I will try to be in a nutshell, and I will talk about biometrical approach, biometry. So you know those films from those movies, Steven Spielberg, when he tried to dream up the world, the realm of the future, he made this survey between the experts, and one of the technologies should be reflected according to the experts is technology of identification, when Tom Cruise was identified like that. So the future has come. In Moscow, in other cities, there is a system of identification working. When in online mode, real-time mode, it allows to identify people in the flow of the population, in sport objects in the railway station, and identify people with some kind of a criminal activity. In Russia, biometric identification is being implemented pretty successful. Our company is one of the companies which is dealing with that. Here you can see all current implementations, only those projects which are being realized by us, objects of transport and etc. One of the leading directions for us where biometrical approach is being used is the security for sport arenas. Many skating, ice arenas and sport arenas are being equipped like that when it's not delaying the flow of people while entering those sport objects. And also it could allow you to restrict entry of aggressive fans, and also to provide some kind of a quick reaction when person is trying to use not his own ticket and trying to organize some good sport events. And of course, there is a responsibility issue, of course, and then you are able to visit those sport objects with your family. And as of now, there is an interesting tendency is being shaped. that this identification is interesting element of the whole digital transformation. So here you can see projects which are being implemented all over the world. In the transportation objects biometrical identification as the technology which actually represents our personality with some biometrical parameters with reading your face features. For example, you are able to refuse your usual hard copy ticket and to switch to the digital identification for some commuting or transportation services. Also, it gives you ability to get seamless infrastructure and maximal automatization of the process. At this very slide, I would like to show you some kind of a transformation of biometrical solutions. If yesterday we saw those biometrical tourniquets and biometrical ATM machines and some video surveillance cameras in airports and railway stations, and we can see a lot of news that this camera caught this very criminal and etc. And as of today, biometric becomes the full-fledged element of security, city security. For example, in transport, you are able to check even the passengers while entering airplanes or trains. So then in the future, the passenger will be able to buy the ticket using his smartphone, and then because of the biometrical identification, he could land or come aboard airplane or train. So that's why interaction of the client and business, there are different channels introduced. So we can mention here not only face biometric, but also voice biometrical factor. For example, when you call your bank, and you won't have to list this long list of questions, but you will be identified by your voice right away. So it's very secure, safe, and quick. Thank you very much for your fast speech. And questions, please. So probably you will start with some interesting cases as for the implementation of biometric identification here in Russia. What is the most interesting thing here? Out of working project is security projects, of course. There is enormous quantity of them. Dozens of the stadiums are being equipped with our system, and even during this World Cup. And that's why this security of this great event was actually made because of this identification. Infrastructure of the cities, but the most interesting are new cases. How to get new convenient services by us. Together with Hermitage, we launched this interesting project when the person could come to the Hermitage, and then it been recognized by the tourniquet, and then this person could come in without kind of trying to find his hard copy ticket in the pocket. So the person knew for sure that he would be able to see the exposition.
In Lab in Amsterdam, we have something in Europe called the GDPR. So we have digital rights. I'm very concerned about, so far we've seen 3 very big brother centralized solutions. And I'm from Amsterdam. We don't really like that very much. So I would like to ask you specifically, how would you protect my digital rights? Don't I have the right to anonymity, first of all, in public spaces? And second of all, how do you protect me against the malevolent abuse of these technologies?
Да, спасибо за вопрос. Это очень больной вопрос. Вы прям попали, наверное.
Yeah, it's pretty painful question. You hit the bull's eye. GDPR, it's a new reality. And Europe faced this reality, has faced this reality already, and Russia will face it very soon. And biometrical approach is the full-fledged element of the built-in system of GDPR. It means a new system of the protection of the personal data, which is already established and confirmed, and it's functioning in the European Union, and it will come to us as well. And it's very important that all the stories which are related not with the security but the convenience of biometrical approach, it's of course voluntarily decision, because the person could be providing those data or not. But he has to be sure that his biometrical data is completely protected. So that's why the most biomedical system doesn't keep those samples which are being collected from you, but only the results of the processing. So even if the leak happens, it's low-risk event, but if it happens for the fraud, for the cone, this information would be senseless because he wouldn't be able to restore first initial data. He won't be using your biomedical parameters, and your account would be saved. Yeah.
I don't think that's really an answer. How do you protect my rights? Can I opt out? Can I opt out? Can I be anonymous? And how do you protect me from malevolent abuse of my biometrical data? I'm not going to let it go.
Это последний вопрос.
It's the last question. Very often I'm facing this question. It's very often question how to protect my biometrical data because it's very personal one, very private one. When you provide your biomedical data is one of the elements of your personal data. Besides that, you provide the whole set of data. What's your name, the date of birth, other data which is needed for air company to identify you as your passenger, as your client. And when you provide some additional biometrical data, at first, all the methods of protection are being applied in the same way as it's used for traditional data. Of course, it's a standalone processing centers. It's all the rules of the security followed. And then additionally, you are being pictured. I mean, they took a picture of you and they don't keep your picture. Your picture is being transformed in the math model in some kind of a set of data which is kept in the server to use to recognize you in biomedical data. Hypothetical situation, if the cone owns this data, he won't be able to do something with this math model. He won't be able to recognize how do you look and what's your appearance, but it's completely enough for the system to protect your personal data. Well, you almost calm us down. Thank you very much. So, Andrew Feldman, Technical Director of NT Club. So, what's your Boston information? Yeah, it's very hot. Thank you very much for your presence here, despite the fact that it's so hot and so fluffy here. Thank you.
Спасибо коллеге из СРТ, он рассказал практически.
I would like to thank the previous colleague. Actually, this is exactly the same that I wanted to tell you. All people dealing with the field of biometrics, we have a lot of common, and we pursue the same goal. So let's get started with our case. We at Tech Lab, we develop products in the sphere of face-related biometrics. For 3 years, for 2 of these 3 years, we've been working on smart cities and on security. We consider our main focus is B2G products centered around security. We are pretty ambitious to take part in various challenges like NIST. We have been awarded by the IARPA and other bodies with prizes. So this is where face recognition can be used. The first and foremost, public security. We believe that what makes smart cities special is safety. This is cooperation with the law enforcement bodies and further integration of such recognition services. This is our goal. Another point is access control for public bodies. One of the previous colleagues mentioned RFID access cards for school children. And in the future, we will augment this security system with a face recognition mechanism so that RFID cards cannot be passed to other people. At present, here in Moscow, we are already collecting a huge amount of data from the CCTV cameras. This all populates the database. We also have colleagues from the Department of ICT of the city of Moscow. We also believe that the access control can be used at the household level. You can use face recognition when entering the premises, publicly accessible buildings. We offer high precision, high accuracy face recognitions. We have a quick database search algorithms. We are resilient to partial overlaps, head turns, and moderate lighting conditions changes. Now a few words, a few figures about the CCTV system in the city of Moscow. Here you have plenty of data coming in, and most part of this data is just some dead weight put down in the archives without any processing at all. So what do? In the first place, we save a huge amount of time in storages because we only store faces and the respective metadata. We operate 1,200 cameras in Moscow. We rely on the criminal search databases. If there is a bike that was stolen, I can ask the system to show the faces of all the strangers present in the area. We keep pace with the initiatives. Publicly, I can share information on only one event. That was an important match, Russia versus another country. We were able to expel 3 unwanted visitors. And we were able to calculate quite precisely the human traffic flowing into the stadium. The accuracy level was 92%. And thanks to our deduplication and clusterization technologies, we have an average accuracy of no less than 99%. Why do you need that? It's important to get some critical data as to the number of participants at an event. Thank you. Thank you for meeting the time limit. Any questions? I hope these questions are not regarding privacy. It would be incorrect to ask this question. Take into account we have another company in the same field of activity. My question is a different one. Recently, we learned that Tech Lab is no longer supporting the Find Face service. So they are no longer maintaining this service. What stands behind this? Was it some scandals, analytics? No, it's not about the scandals. This is because we want to point out that we focus on a specific vector of development. We have no interest in the B2C services. We work on the B2G and other areas. We want to keep working on our core activities. Find Face, this is what made Tech Lab famous. On the positive side of it, you can match faces, but really closing down such a bright, flamboyant project, but risks were higher. It was pretty useful at the beginning, a launch pad for us, but now we have closed it down. I believe the main sphere of interest is B2G, mainly security and safety. There are plenty of actors in this field, biometrics. Of course, we had another player speaking before us. What is in the focus of our attention? We take part in a huge number of competitions. Second, we work on the technical side of projects for large installations. I mean thousands of cameras within a CCTV systems or a throughput of million people. We want to ensure high accuracy, because calculating the number of people in a crowd is a skill that requires further development. Thank you. Thank you so much, Andrei. Mr. Miturin, MBR Data, the floor is yours now. Viktor Mitunin, Director of Marketing and Data, Embry Data. Let me start off with saying that we are the well-known big data, mentioned by our colleagues. Our colleagues dealing with the CCTV, they rely on our findings to validate their data to match with all the devices. Why do you feel so pessimistic about CCTV cameras? Is it me being slow, or is it something else? We might have a technical problem with the presentation. And now, next slide, please. Hip hip hooray! Finally, this is the slide. There was a survey on the city of Moscow compared to New York in terms of data processing and data management. Is it acceptable? So there is a Russian cartoon on a small goat who learned to count, thus running into trouble. So if you use the web, you can see multiple ads showing up on your screen based on your search data. Users are willing to share all of the data. Russia has already found a solution to this problem. This is about collaboration of DMP of Russia and Israel. We built a blockchain-based unified database and receive confirmation by users so that their data can be freely transferred to third parties and processed. Great, lovely. It won't run. We have a tech-related session and technology fails. Online data. I'm not going to drill down on that. There is a huge amount of data. All data, all metadata are being logged. Headers of websites, web archive. There is a huge amount of data coming from advertisement systems. So Yandex and other players provide us with a huge flow of data as to the ads performances across the various websites. Analytics websites also help us process data. We have Aviasales and Booking.com. They are already willing to share with us their audience on a commercial basis. There is a huge amount of data being processed. All this data is brought together to form our core product. This was already mentioned, a futuristic a future where people get microchips implanted. But this is no longer needed because we all have mobile devices like Bluetooth enabled cars, headphones, mobile phones, smartphones. You can keep track of all the individuals, and this can be augmented with CCTV data. We cover over 90% of the data. This data was validated by TMS Russia. Regarding the Wi-Fi hotspots, the vast majority of Wi-Fi hotspots at restaurants and at the Moscow subway, we are collecting a part of data. As you understand, there are plenty of Wi-Fi hotspot areas in Russia. Regarding the iBeacon technology, there has been much hype around the iBeacon technology for half a year. Here is the Bluetooth. This is the analytics part. We were not able to effectively manage the quality of content with iBeacon, but we leverage it to build a profile. Vehicles have Bluetooth-enabled devices. It is in perfect sync with your cell phone, with your smartphone. And your device can tell us the difference between the two devices within range. You might be a Mercedes driver, you have an iWatch or else, and a smartphone. This is a smart camera. Biometrics companies, they collect this data, all this data is logged. We have the following advantage. We can interconnect this data on our side and leverage this data. This is an amusing story. Regarding big data, it has been said that these segments perform quite well, others don't perform that well. I can say that this segmentation doesn't work. If you believe that those who purchase BMWs will purchase your watches with a high probability, you are wrong if you think so. Let's talk about psychology types. We considered the 84 psychology types. This is about Starbucks who drinks latte with almond syrup. Extroversion, introversion, and stuff like that. We can deduce the following. This is a minor case. Schools of Moscow have turned to us. They had problems with suicide-prone children. We had a brilliant case where we were able to make predictions as to children's behavior based on their psychology type, personality type, and we were able to provide alerts to the parents of this suicide-prone children. You have the very last few seconds. Regarding the metadata, it's all clear. Everyone understands that there is a huge amount of information being stored about each of us. This is processed by a powerful algorithm. As you have a number of pictures in one of your profiles, there will be a great deal of information stored on you. Your time is over now. Now we have a question. How lethal is it in terms of privacy? How does it match with the Russian and international law? There was a consolidated solution because all the DMPs, and we somehow need the users to accept the rules. And publishers agreed to help us, adding this code. I hereby authorize the company to process my personal data and hand it over to third parties. We now have a centralized database for subscriptions, and all DMPs, both Russian and international, they rely on this database. But one more question. Victor, thank you. As far as I remember, Amber Data is owned by the National Media Group. Yes, this is true. This is a company managing multiple TV channels. Is Amber Data utilized somehow for the TV industry? It would be strange for the TV owner not to use this technology. Regarding the IPTV, we can help to tailor the audience. But this is only true for IPTV. We can tell what the preferences of users are, and based on that, you can provide customized content for IPTV as well. Yes, one more question.
Sorry.
Please.
First of all, who owns the data? You're using data from public sources, correct? And you're combining that with data from private sources, including Book.com or Starbucks. And I see you're selling it back to Starbucks for digital profiling purposes. and perhaps media companies for advertising purposes. Who owns the data, one, and who owns the algorithms, and are they available for review?
Thanks.
Let me put it like this. Indeed, Starbucks data is owned by Starbucks. And we have put it quite in a clear fashion. For a specific project, we perform a comprehensive installation of our server at the end customer's site. In our storages, we do not collect Starbucks' data. It is stored by Starbucks. We bring our software. Once it has worked out, we use foreign external data sources to pull up external sources data. And the final and the end owner is Starbucks, both of the initial data and the code. Thank you so much. We have to plow on due to the time limit. Of course, this is a pressing issue. Mikhail, the floor is yours now. Nauman Company. 1, 2, check. Mikhail Chereshnev, Director of the Foreign Markets Relations, Marketing Director of the Contract Centers Direction in Russia, Nauman. Please make suggestions. We were established in 2001. We're not a startup, but we are experiencing a stage similar to startup. I'm going to share some stories with you. We had over 1,000 installations in Russia. We have over 400 developers, employees. We have offices both in Russia and abroad, in the Philippines and the Kazakhstan. We have a large partner network, both in the North American countries, in the Middle East, and hopefully in the Americas, in South America. What do? We work on industrial products for mass-scale interaction with citizens, with users. In particular, I would like to point out this virtual assistant, robotic services, and workforce management for contact centers. These products have been recognized by multiple awards, were mentioned by Gartner, and we have been awarded multiple prizes in Russia as well. Let's stick to our project. This is the most thrilling part. When preparing for this talk, I was asked, how do your products help Russian nationals, help Russians live better? Let's talk with the Omni-Channel project. This is a project for the Petrovich company. Petrovich is one of the largest DIY do-it-yourself store retailer networks. Interestingly enough, customers can rely on every channel. They can start their communication via a web chat. They can proceed with a messenger, and this will be a comprehensive service. It's all brought together by a simple interface for the operators to use. We have this VR payments. You know that Russia is a huge country.
And there is no possibility to pay with your credit card, and that's why we have organized this AVR payment. For example, delivery comes to you in the morning, and you can pay for this delivery right away. Just put in your data and just using your credit card or debit card. It's very convenient. If there is any problem or issue, you can order callback from your website, from this website. And you can see this advertisement along the highways and Russian roads. And then another project for the posts of Russia. We have organized robotic services for them, automated service. For example, if you call to AVR as of now, we know we are, as a developer of this service, we know that people don't like IVR, but people, they would like to have some kind of a humanized service, so then the robot will recognize this call and will answer you. And another service, where is my parcel? Where is my sending? So you can name your tracking number, and then voice tracking robot will give you proper information where is your delivery. And then another interesting service for power Moscow company, Mosenergosbit. So all Muscovites have to deliver to inform all the indications of their meters by the special data, special date, and so we help out in this regard as well. As you all know, now we have a special evolution, like high-quality service evolution, and we prepared very interesting product. As you know, this machine learning is like a black box, and in our case, it's a special system with understandable interface, which we call drag and drop. Virtually is very interesting, and we give it to our client, and then they're able to teach their robots. And we've implemented such a product with one of our providers, or one of the providers in the regions. And in 38%, this bot gave the right answer. In 45%, he understood the topic and he readdressed it to the operator. Of course, there are some mistakes happening. And then the last message. In our case, probably there will be this question: what is the uniqueness of our product? We are given the system for like one vendor. It doesn't matter what kind of telephone platform do you have AI or not, you can get everything from one vendor. So do you have any questions for the speaker?
About robotic service, only Russian language is available, or any local language which you are marketing in, outside of Russia?
Thank you for your question. Yes, now we do mostly projects in Russia because I suppose you understand there is a big specific in terms of language. But now we do a lot of R&D in terms of Spanish language and English language. But we have a lot of operations in Asia Pacific. As you mentioned, our office is located in the Philippines, Manila. So we're supposed to start from English and then to switch to local languages.
Спасибо. Еще вопросы? Да, пожалуйста. Yes, please.
I love it. I love this kind of service because it is convenient and it's actually giving value to the customer. Now, what I want to know, though, is what is the feedback from the end user? Do you have specific feedback from people that tell you that your service is providing them with value?
Yes, we have good feedback, and 3 weeks ago we had special business breakfast, and there was a case where people, they don't understand that there is a robot, and they have live communications with them. So for them, it's like speaking with a real person. And they don't spend a lot of time, and they like it. And our customers, they give us very good feedback about this. Because for them, the best estimation is then customers don't understand that it is a real robot. They think that it is a live person.
Спасибо. Спасибо большое. Спасибо. Отлично справились, уложились в...
Thank you very much. Yeah, you were sticking to the schedule. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Satarov, General Director of the company Ubik, please welcome to the stage. Greetings to you. My name is Vitaly Satarov. I'm the head of the company Ubik Technologies. And we are so kind of startup because we're like 10 years old. We started with the product of telecommunication companies. We have some projects in CIS countries and some projects outside CIS countries. And we have this the whole line of the products for telecom companies to optimize the traffic and to deal with big data. Last year, we tried to start another line of products. We started working with the cities. That's why I'm here at the Urban Forum. And we're working with several cities, including Moscow. And we are trying to put our competences in the operation of big cities. For example, the same way with Yandex, Rumble, or etc. Sometimes people, they don't understand how does it work. And the same way with people, they don't understand how to work with big data. When you work with hundreds megabits per second and billions of facts which are being accumulated in the network. We know that in cities we have a lot of big data, and our colleagues were telling us about even petabytes big data, and we have something similar. What can we see in big data in the cities? There are some non-connected sources of data, and they're connected with some aggregated data on top. When we have a lot of data on the entry of every pupil to the school at one place, and in the other place we can see the information about traffic jams, about medical reports, and when it's been accumulated in one place, then the work is going to aggregated data. For example, how many kids are sick, but not the information about one particular child. For example, out of important things are this kind of quiet, silent groups of citizens. Because there is this group of users which are connected by some problem, but they're not united by living in one region, and etc. What we can try to bring when we work with big data and our competencies, we try to go down with this level of intersection so that we will be able to unite this data on the lower level. Well, at first we work directly with big data, and then we build correlation with non-connectivity with some kind of a data. And then we get new opportunities. I will give you an example for you to understand. There is this word business, and it's very important. Not involving business into this process. Besides inhabitants in the city, there are a lot of business structures to be involved. For example, for a retailer or in franchise network chain, you will be able to talk about every point of sale, how many people are buying, how much do they spend. I'm giving you this example. This very case is based on the analysis of data of negative posts in Twitter, negative words, and also disease of cardiovascular disease. So if we talk about cardiovascular system, which are intersected with some negative tweets, so we are able to build those stress maps. Well, at first there is this direct correlation, which is seen, and you can put all these maps on the geography, and you can find that those identical regions by demographic content of people, there's so much vary on the base of stress. And also you can see the factor of environment, and you can work with that. And a bit about platforms, about those cases when we're able to work with 500 billion of different facts per day. We're able to work with big data of the cities, and we're able to combine it in one story, one structure. So if you have any questions to go, please go ahead.
Only one question. Linking different activities or whatever to each other, I like it a lot. For instance, agenda linked to traffic information. When you step in your car and your mobile tells you, you probably will go now to the marketplace, and it will take you like 25 minutes. Speed up because there's a lot of traffic. The only thing that I've seen is that the machine starts thinking itself. It begins to learn. And when on Fridays I usually go out with my family to a certain restaurant, my telephone, every time I take the car on Friday, is telling me how much time it will take to the restaurant, even if I go or not. So what I want to tell and ask is, how do you take out mistakes? How do you take out the machine learning? Because it's good, but on the other hand, it makes mistakes.
But it's always about mistakes, and there is to...
Да, ну,
do the wrong decision, or you can work with a smaller group. If you do less mistakes, you work with a smaller group, and this is two parameters you can combine with each other. If some mistakes is allowed, you can work with like millions of people. If mistakes is not allowed, you should change the parameters of your model, of your math model, and you work with finally with a smaller group, but with no mistakes. When we not work about the security, so some mistakes. Okay, if you are not going with your family to the restaurant and it says you road to the restaurant, trip to the restaurant will take like 20 minutes, it's not a big issue for you. Yeah.
Спасибо, спасибо большое, Виталий, спасибо. Будем двигаться дальше. У нас вот уже...
Thank you, Vitaly. So let's move forward because we're a bit out of the schedule. Our experts are leaving for other sessions. Mr. Slutsky, company Lenit, you will finish this session, and I know that you will work also on plasma. Please. So, colleagues, greetings to you. My name is Mikhail Slutsky. I'm working in a group of the company Lenit. I'm responsible for the development of some amount of business directions. So for the next 5-6 minutes, I would like to tell you about this very activity which was made by the government of Moscow in some kind of a sensitive sphere which we call healthcare. We will talk about this very issue as for affordability, accessibility to the visit of the doctor. I wouldn't torture you with some kind of presentations or prepared charts or information. Right now, we are connecting to the center of processing of data of the Moscow city government, and then you will see what is used by the city managers who are responsible for Moscow healthcare. So, are we connected? Right now, we will make a little leap into the past, into the 2014 period. Approximately like that. And you see here we are looking at the 27th of September 2014, and we're looking at the physicians of Moscow. This is the most demanded specialization of doctors. So you can see that everything is covered with the red dots. If you would see this picture differently, so you would see that this situation is pretty critical. And at that very time, the quantity of people which were in inconvenient situation of waiting for the doctor, so it's more than 10,000 people. So we can collect some kind of a protest strike or meeting of those people. So that's why the aim of avoiding lines waiting for the doctor. So it was pretty crucial issue. So we have two theories. The first theory is like that. Too little money in the system of Moscow healthcare. Give us more money and we will hire more people and the lines will be gone. And the second theory was like that. You've got from 10 to 12 million patients, clients, and several dozens of thousands of doctors which servicing them. And they are using 7,000 clinics or medical facilities. If you won't balance this situation, so then no financial investments will cure this issue. So two contrary groups were meeting at the mayor's and for pretty interesting discussions, and they were protecting their standpoints, and their arguments were like that. So it was like this stack of different reports on the weekly basis with verbal argument, you are all lying when they talk to opponents. Of course, in this kind of discussion, it's very difficult, almost impossible to take any substantial decisions and solutions. You see, there is this saying that master will be recognized by the tools. So we decided to give the special tool to the city. What kind of tool? It should be pretty convenient and at the same time effective for solution of this issue. Unfortunately, I have only 1 minute to go. What we got in the end is the result. You can see it here on the screen. Typical session of the officials, it's like that. I'm choosing central okrugs, district, and special polyclinic, and then I'm going deeper into the substance of the matter, of the problem. Here you can see this necessary object, which would substitute dozens of reports. Only one glance will resolve the situation. All the structure is one polyclinic, and sectors is the address objects where they service the patients. So here we can see red sectors and green sectors. You shouldn't move further on to understand that the system is not well balanced. Whether we have to relocate the part of the stream from the red to green one or vice versa. We can go deeper down this problem, and we can see what's happening with the accessibility in the red sector. Even here in one clinic, we have green dot and we have very red dot. In red dot, 3,400 patients are being serviced, and in green sector, only 700 patients. So now we reveal another problem, non-balanced approach to the sites, to the plots. So if we go down, we can see in static or dynamic approach resource provision of the polyclinic. Simply speaking, do they have a lot of doctors or not? So 94% of provision. So it's almost the norm. In the practice of Russia, it's almost excessive. And out of all the time of the doctors for their operation, in the most time, it's the green sector. Mikhail, unfortunately, we are out of our timeline. It's a pretty cool tool, and you can talk about that forever, but yeah, so simplifying the explanation. 10 seconds. So this city looks like not that. Unfortunately, you hurry me up. Well, I regret it myself. So right now the city looks like that. The task is resolved. The tool has showed its effectiveness in the hands of city managers, and right now it's been used in utility, transport, and other sectors of the urban activity. Yeah, it's pretty powerful. It's very good. I can see the question.
So what are the top 2 or 3 outcomes? What are the top 2 or 3 outcomes after analyzing this data? What has been accomplished?
Yeah, please repeat your question. Yeah, fine.
Ответ следующий.
Answer will be, as of now, with this very tool, about 2,000 people work in the City Hall of Moscow. And there is a special situation center where they have about 30 young people in the Department of Healthcare, which are on the every minute basis. They are combining special pictures out of that tool. Having seen those situations, they regulate their managerial solutions, and this tool is accessible from the first person. Sergei Semyonovich has the access at his mobile device, and then finishing with the bottom level, it's just usual specialists in polyclinics, so it's pretty...
We are trying to do similar things in Singapore, and we are also finding out that this gives us good insights into prevention of these diseases by analyzing the profile of the patients who come in. So potential opportunity to expand your scope.
Солидарен.
Completely agree with you. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Mikhail having said that, thank you very much. So Made in Moscow session was pretty interesting, and I guess that all the speakers handled this task pretty successfully. Thank you very much.